Mike Tomlin. Look, I TikTok, I get it. YouTube, I get it. He's a great coach. He's a great coach. Mike Tomlin will get a job in Pittsburgh. I've said this a million times. I know you guys are tired of hearing me say it, but I'm going to keep saying it. He'll get a job before he leaves. First of all, I don't think the Steelers should fire Mike Tomlin. I think they should trade Mike Tomlin. Okay, you don't fire Mike Tomlin. That's number one. But you can trade him. You can trade him. And there are teams out there that would be willing to take Mike Tomlin and come off a draft pick for Mike Tomlin. The Raiders. I don't know if the Chargers, because I think they're going to hire Harbaugh. Washington, Atlanta, Carolina. There are plenty of teams that would be willing to do that. Plenty. So do that and go get you a new head coach. It's just time to move on from Tomlin, man. It's just time. And you're right. You're right, Johnny. Rooney's will never get rid of Tomlin. I don't know why. And if anybody, and I mean anybody, brings in the Rooney Rule race thing, I will block you immediately. I don't want to hear it. Don't start the nonsense in here. Not with me. I don't play that game. But the one thing that I know is the Steelers have dived into this, and they live there. Mediocrity. And I've said it once, I'll say it 100 times. Mediocrity will kill your organization. It's the death of your organization. That is literally the definition of mediocrity. That's what happens. Mediocrity is the death of your organization. So that's what it is. Yes, that is a great point. Darren Howard on YouTube said this: let players be themselves ain't the same with these new school players. He had a locker room full of grown men before, not now. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Mike Tomlin allows people to be professionals. But if people don't know how to be professionals, somebody's got to teach them. And he's got to stand up and say, no, that's not right. No, that's not how you do it. No, what the hell are you doing? And he doesn't do that. He lets men be men, and that's not the right move. That's not when you don't have a team full of veterans. He had that early in his career. He doesn't have that anymore. Somebody's got to stand on their feet and say no. That's what it is. That's what it is. Here's another good point by my man Hooligan. It really starts with Art Rooney. He has to open the wallet and pay money for quality assistance. That's right. The Steelers got the smallest coaching staff in the NFL. They have 9 coaches. 9. At universities, they have more coaches than that. So why do the Pittsburgh Steelers only have 9? Now, some of that is Mike Tomlin. He's a control guy. So some of that is him. But also some of it is the Rooneys just being cheap. You can't afford to be cheap in today's NFL. That's not how it works. Don't give me the rest versus the Steelers, man. I don't want to hear that. The Steelers had opportunities. Yeah, there were some bad calls. But what about the Freiermuth fumble? How the hell did we get that? That ball didn't touch his helmet while he was out of bounds. That didn't happen. But they gave it to us. They gave it to us. We had opportunities yesterday to win that game. We had opportunities. So, and nobody said Mike Tomlin was overrated. Did you ever hear that come out of my mouth? I didn't say Mike Tomlin was overrated. I didn't say Mike Tomlin wasn't a great coach. I just said his time in Pittsburgh is up. That's all I said. And I'm going to stand on that. His time in Pittsburgh is up. It doesn't mean that the Steelers might not struggle a couple of years without him. Okay. It doesn't mean that he won't go somewhere else and have immediate success. Okay. But for the Steelers to get to where they're trying to go, they have to get out of this mediocrity, because mediocrity, like I mentioned, is the death of your franchise. It is the death of your franchise. So you cannot continuously be good if you are just mired in mediocrity, picking between 16 and 22 every year. Your football team doesn't get better that way. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. And until the Steelers decide we're going to get out of this mediocrity and change the philosophy of how we want to win football games, then this is what it's going to be. Look, I would love Mike Tomlin to say, you know what? I'm going to change the way that I want to win. We can't just continuously win by playing great defense, good special teams, make a couple of plays on offense, and then try to win the game at the end. You can't win like that in today's NFL. You got to put points on the board. You got to put points on the board. And he doesn't do that. That's not his philosophy. It just isn't. It's not his philosophy. Whether that's good, whether it's bad, I think it's bad, because today's NFL, look, I'm not saying you got to score 40 points a game, but you can't score 17 and try. You can win games. You can win plenty of games. Like the Steelers won 10 games this year, playing that way. But the best the Steelers looked, the best that they looked was when they put 30 points up on the board. That's the best they looked. The offense was clicking. The defense was clicking. That's the best that they looked, is when the offense was doing their thing. Had time of possession. Defense was fresh. That sounds cliche-ish, but it's the truth. The Steelers are better when they're putting – everybody, when you're putting points on the board. You can't just win 17-14, man. And yesterday is indicative. The Steelers scored 17 points. Was Buffalo really in any danger of losing that game yesterday? I know they cut it to one score, but were they really in danger of losing? No. No, I never thought the Steelers were going to tie that game. I was hopeful because I'm a diehard, but I didn't think they were in any real danger of tying the game or losing that game, man. I didn't think that. So a philosophy change by Tomlin, then he can stay in Pittsburgh. If he doesn't have that philosophy change, he can't stay. It's just that simple. He just can't stay. And that's not a bad thing. That's not an indictment. That's just where we are as a franchise, where he is as a head coach. Something's got to give. Something's got to give. Mike Tomlin, to finish all this off, people, in closing, Mike Tomlin, I love the guy. I love him as a coach. I think he's a great person, although I don't know him personally, so I'm not talking about that, just from what we see. Great person, great coach. Tom is just up in Pittsburgh. Nothing wrong with that. And yes, we'll probably take a couple of steps back, but to get to where we want to go, I think some of those steps are necessary. We saw it yesterday when we just weren't capable. His way of playing is just not capable of winning football. We don't have a quarterback. That was part of his doing. Held on to Ben too long. Drafted baby hands when we didn't have to. And we're out there playing Rudolph, which Rudolph did fine. I mean, a costly pick, but he is what he is. He's a backup quarterback in the NFL. What do you expect?